Andy and Lee Yancey. And I hadn't seen Lee in quite a while. He's been preaching down there in the Bay Springs area where my in-laws are at. And I asked him what his plans were, and I think Lee is probably going to slide into Mark Baker's spot if Mark gets the AG. So I think that's what the plan is, and I think that's kind of what he told me. Andy probably feels the same way. I think he probably told him the same thing. But anyway, to get to it, Andy Gipson has been a friend of the Tea Party for quite some time. Probably the most approachable legislator in the House, I guess bar none. I guess Chris Brown could be another one, and maybe several others, but I think Andy has been, taking our grievances on some bills and has taken it to the floor. I was involved with the Second Amendment bill, HB 02, and I was invited to the signing at the Capitol when we had our deal out at the Capitol. I call Andy Mr. Second Amendment because a lot of bills that came out with some strong language, Andy authored. But he's been in District 77 and just had somebody win that district, and I was asking him some questions if he was, the sort of man that Andy is, and he kind of thinks, that all three of them that ran were friends of his, so, and gentleman's a farmer and that type of thing, so hopefully he's well-grounded. A couple of issues that he'll have to overcome. One is the gas tax issue, so we'll have to probably talk to him a little bit more about our money in our pocket. But I'll let Andy speak for Andy, but like I said, he's been a friend of ours for quite some time. He has invited us to the table when a lot of folks, they say one thing when they leave here, they become higher ups in our office. In fact, we've got one gentleman that runs our state government that shies away from the Tea Party now and ran on Tea Party principles, if y'all can remember. But Andy's always been a true friend, and that means a lot, because I don't mind stepping out and walking for somebody when they walk the walk and they talk the talk. But I won't leave anything undone and let Andy come up and speak for himself. Come on up, Andy.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate your flag, man. I tell you what, I brought my hat because I made the mistake of not bringing it to a meeting the other day, and everybody asked where it was. It's become a trademark, I guess. I told them I used to get to wear my hat just on the weekends. Now I got a reason to wear it everywhere I go in the state of Mississippi. I just got back visiting with about a dozen farmers in the Leesburg community in North Rankin County. It's a small area there where we have a unique group of row crop farmers right there. It's a small kind of a version of the Delta in Rankin and Scott County. And you don't see that a lot around here, but I enjoyed visiting with them. My name is Andy Gipson. That's Gipson with a P, but y'all already know that because we go way back. And I want to thank all of you for being here. I have had the joy to fight alongside of you many battles for our conservative principles in the Mississippi legislature. And I look out across this room and I know just about all of you. And we've fought some fights and won most of them together, haven't we? Yeah, we have, and I want to thank you for that. My wife Leslie and I and our 4 children live on our small farm in Simpson County. Alan, it's great to see you here tonight. Thank you for being here. And I tell you what, the good people of Simpson and Rankin County elected me to represent them in 2007, and I have done my very best to do just that these last 11 or nearly 12 years. Last year, we fought the fight, as Don mentioned, of our Second Amendment. And really, when I got to the legislature, I was shocked to find that it was basically in Mississippi illegal to have a gun unless you were registered and had a license to do it. Any other way, you were breaking the law under the interpretations by judges, by Attorney General's opinions, and by misinterpretations of our law. And so I went to work right off the bat to clarify that. And you thought everybody was going to die after we passed House Bill 2. I mean, the sky was falling, but you know what? We survived because we've always had the Second Amendment. It's just our state laws have gotten twisted and messed up where you could be arrested if you let part of your pistol show, for that matter. I'll tell you something funny. I got sworn in, and I'm very grateful to Governor Phil Bryant for appointing me to this position, for a great opportunity to serve, and I think to do more for the people of Mississippi, all the people of Mississippi. but I got sworn in as your agriculture commissioner on April the 2nd, and we had a wildlife extravaganza at the trademark, your trademark, the people of Mississippi's trademark, public property. And I went up in there, and everybody there had their pistol on their hip. Well, I had mine too, but mine was concealed in a special type holster I have, and I had somebody walk up to me and try to take it away from me. What do you think about that? This was last weekend. And I just, you know, when I get angry, and I try not to get angry, but when I get angry, you'll know I'm angry when I get real quiet. So I got real quiet, and I was looking at this gentleman, and somebody said, "That's the commissioner." He said, "Well, that's a whole nother matter." And I said, "It shouldn't be a whole nother matter. Any law-abiding citizen who's legally entitled to have that weapon has the right to have it in this public property in the state of Mississippi, period." His eyes got that big around. So that battle ain't over yet. There's still, and it reminded me that the battle for freedom is never really over. There are always people somewhere trying to peel back our rights, trying to take some of our rights away, whether it's Second Amendment rights or maybe our religious freedom. I fought those fights. Thank you, dear lady, for the "In God We Trust" sticker that you just put on my truck out there. We fought that fight. And there again, the sky was going to fall, and the world was going to come to an end if we put that on our state seal, but we just got it done. And in the same process, guaranteed our religious freedoms to believe and proclaim what we believe without fear of the government shutting us down, okay? So that was another one. And you would talk about some of the most important work that I was very honored to be a part of and very humbled is our pro-life work. We passed laws to make Mississippi literally the safest place in this country for an unborn child. And you know, that fight's never going to be done. We've got to keep on keeping on. We passed a 20-week abortion ban, and then most recently a 15-week abortion ban to protect the life and health of the mother as much as the unborn child. And these issues are important to me personally. And Leslie and I were sitting at home on our farm in our living room one rainy day last winter and talking about, you know, are we going to put up again and run for the House of Representatives one more time? And really, we talked about it, and Leslie and I, we've been through a lot together. She's been very much an encouragement to me, always there with me, right alongside of me. She said, "Whatever you decide to do," but she said, "I don't know what else we can do in the legislature." I said, "Well, you got a point." So we had kind of made up our minds to come back home and do something different. I didn't know what, but one day this past session, the telephone rang, and it's Governor Bryant. He said, "I'm going to need to appoint an agriculture commissioner. Would you like to do it?" I said, "Yes, Governor, I would. I need to pray about it and talk to my wife about it." He said, "All right, we'll do it and get back to me by 8 o'clock in the morning." So pray fast. And we did. And, you know, Leslie and I, we love the farm. We raise cattle and pine trees. We're on our small farm in Simpson County. And I grew up here in Rankin County on another small farm that's now developed into a lot of growth here in Rankin County. But I'll tell you something. We have a very strong piece about this decision right off the bat because it allows us to continue to do, I hope, some good work for the people of Mississippi, and also be very vigilant about the preservation of our rights as they are today, and do good for Mississippi agriculture, and do it as a family. Our children that evening came home and they were sad. You know, Daddy's going to get out of the legislature. It's kind of all they've ever known. Joseph, Benjamin, Abigail, and Sarah. And they're kind of tearing up. And, well, we're not going to go with Dad to the Capitol anymore. And then one of them figured out, well, we was going to be over the State Fair in October and the Dixie National Rodeo in February. And my daughter, who I won't mention by name because she's gotten embarrassed about this, she did say, with tears streaming down her face, they started drying up, though, she said, "Does this mean I can sing the national anthem at the rodeo?" I said, "I bet we can make that happen one of these days." I want to tell you, it's been a joy to come in as Agriculture and Commerce Commissioner. The first thing I've been doing You hadn't seen a whole lot of me around here because I've been traveling the state of Mississippi. I have been literally to every corner of this state, meeting and listening to farmers, listening to their issues, listening to the challenges that we face. And you know, they talked to me about several things. I'll give you some of those in just a moment. But Mississippi agriculture is blessed. Let me put it that way. We are blessed in Mississippi. And I think for far too long we've let people around this country look down their nose at us and browbeat us about all of our problems. And you know, we got our problems and we'll work through those like everybody else. But we have a lot to be proud of. We have a lot to be excited about. Mississippi agriculture is the single largest industry in the state, $7.6 billion annually. $2.5 billion of that is chicken, good old Mississippi chicken. I told them at the Neshoba County Fair, I love fried chicken, and I want the world to know about it. And what I mean is I want to tell everybody around this world they can buy genuine Mississippi chicken. And if they like pine trees, the woods is full of them. We got them all over the state. I handed you out a pamphlet here that's got a brand on it, and we just rolled this out in July, the genuine Mississippi brand. And what we're going to do is what my job as your Commissioner of Agriculture is. In fact, if you read the Mississippi Code on the duties of the Mississippi Commissioner of Agriculture, is to promote and expand opportunities and markets for Mississippi agriculture and commerce here in the state, nationally, and around the world. So that's priority number one. And we got a lot to be proud about. You go to this website, genuinems.com. If you're a consumer, you're going to be able to find where you can buy from your farmer locally. You can support your local farmer. You can support your local producer. You want to buy some steak, you can go right there today and find you one you can go buy on somebody's farm somewhere. If you're a business owner, you're a farmer, and you want to promote your product, and you want to let not only Mississippi consumers know, but maybe the country, maybe the region. You've got a business plan that's going around the United States. You can put it here. We're going to be pushing that out to as many people as we can through every online platform. This is totally online. Website, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I had somebody ask me out in the country the other day, can we put it on Twiddle too? I said we can twiddle it on out there. That's right. We'll get it out however we need to. Twiddle it out if we need to. You go there and you sign up in our department, your Department of Agriculture and Commerce. I told them I want that on the website. This belongs to the people of Mississippi. We're going to promote and expand opportunities for Mississippi agriculture. I was standing in India, New Delhi, India, September of last year. And I stood in the office of the Agriculture Secretary for the nation of India, the fastest growing country in the world. Average family size, 7 children, growing by leaps and bounds. By 2022, there'll be more people in India than there are in China. Most people don't know that. Everybody's worried about China. India is the next economic superpower. Fastest growing economy, fastest growing population, world's largest democracy. Thank God for that. I stood in that agriculture minister's office and I said, now what's your biggest problem in India? What's your biggest issue? He looked at me and said, we don't have enough arable land to grow the food that our people need to live. And I said, well, we can help you with that in Mississippi. And we're going to do that. This past March, India lifted the ban on the import of United States chicken. And I'm proud to report 2 months ago, the first shipments of genuine Mississippi chicken went to India, and that's about the only meat they'll eat over there in that country. Isn't that a great win-win combination? They love our chicken. We want to buy more of it. Give your department a hand on that. I'm traveling around Mississippi, meeting with folks from every agriculture sector, and the average age of the farmer in Mississippi is 60 years old. Got me thinking when I was down on a watermelon farm in Smith County. And by the way, I got roots in Smith County too. And I stood there on this gentleman's farm and I said, what's the future of Smith County watermelons? How many of y'all love Smith County watermelons? I do. This gentleman looked at me and said, there's 8 farmers growing Smith County watermelons in the county of Smith. And all of them are near retirement age. I said, this is a Mississippi State crisis right here. We cannot have the end of Smith County watermelons. We need to develop some program, internship, workforce development. There are young people out there, I've met them, who have interest in Mississippi agriculture, and opportunities are there. If they want to work, there's a place for them to work. They predict that within the next decade, there'll be thousands of acres of farms in Mississippi that will go dormant on the retirement of farmers in this state, and that's a problem, and I don't want that to happen. So we announced last week, 2 weeks ago, an internship program. We've had one through the department for some time, but I want to expand that, a statewide internship program. Can't pay them a dime. But you give me a young person who wants to work, who's passionate about agriculture, and I promise you this, I will get them real world experience through your Department of Agriculture and Commerce. We'll get them in touch with real farmers, with ranchers, with landowners, with agribusiness, where they can have opportunities, hopefully, to make a career. We got to prepare the next generation. It's important not only that we feed the world, but it's important for our economy. I mean, agriculture, our largest industry, 29% of our workforce is employed in ag-related work. We have got to be serious about preparing the next generation, and that's one reason I said yes. I have 4 children of our own, and thinking about them. By 2050, the demands of the world for food, for fiber and shelter will be only greater, and we need to be prepared for that, for the next generation. So that's something we're doing. You know, I'm serious about the reason you're here, the Tea Party. Taxed enough already. Now, we already pay taxes, don't we? I pay taxes, and you do too, and farmers do too, and we pay enough taxes that we ought to be able to do the things that need to be done. We're paying taxes for local roads and bridges across this state right now, and for whatever reason, it's not getting done. Now, I support a road and bridge plan. I believe it could be done without raising people's taxes. I may stick out on that a little bit from some of my friends, but I believe it can be done without raising people's taxes, and I'm going to be there to support a plan that'll do that. But the bottom line is, you can't just throw money at a problem and say, hey, we did it. You got to make sure, I've been in the legislature, I know, you got to make sure, you got to put it in the law, you got to put a requirement that these funds will be used to repair and replace our rural county roads and bridges that we as farmers depend on to get our crops to market and haul livestock and everything else that needs to be done. And then regulations, you know. The farmers tell me everywhere I go, we got enough regulations. I said, you know, amen to that. Amen. Just because a problem exists doesn't mean the government ought to try to step in and fix it. Maybe it's a market problem. Maybe it's a local problem. Just this last year, thank the Lord for Donald Trump getting elected president, and the EPA rolled back a regulation that was going to take over every creek bed in Mississippi and in the United States, known as the waters of the United States. And if it was a ditch, it was the water of the United States, which would have been a massive federal land grab to control every land use of every square inch of property in this state and all 50 states. And thank God Donald Trump eliminated that rule, and it's being replaced right now. Yeah, ain't that good news? Amen. So I'm going to be there to advocate for those types of issues, and advocating the rollback of harmful regulations that stifle economic opportunity. Farmers know how to farm. They don't need the government to tell them how to farm. I've been doing it a long time. And so with that, I just want to thank you for the great opportunity to serve as your Agriculture and Commerce Commissioner. I have the great honor to do that, and I truly want to represent you. This is your office, it is your Department of Agriculture, and we are here to represent and promote the best interest of Mississippi farmers, ranchers, landowners, and grow opportunities for all of Mississippi, and we all win when that happens. Thank you. Thank you for having me. God bless. All right.
What is your duty or responsibility on foreign produce coming into our state?